Hey 49ers fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Chat Sports, and today we have a very special 49ers video for you guys. It's all training camp focused. We give you the top 5 storylines heading into San Francisco 49ers training camp, which begins this week. Again, everyone's reporting on July 26th, really, depending on when you're watching this video, just a couple of days away. We're getting very excited. We're getting close to seeing the full team out on the practice field, ready to roll for this week's start of training camp. Again, 5 things that we're going to jump right into here. Before we start, though, I will say, for you 49ers fans who are actually up there in San Francisco, remember, you can go on to 49ers.com and look up the 11 dates for when you can go to 49ers open practices. Again, there are 11 dates for that, so be sure to go ahead and head on out to 49ers training camp and watch the guys out there practicing, getting ready for the season. But without further ado, let's jump into our number 1 storyline, again, 1 through 5 here, about the San Francisco 49ers training camp storyline. Starting with number 1, again, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the focus of this year's training camp, in my opinion, and it all has to do with his health. Remember, tore the ACL back in week 3, it's entering his 8th NFL season, and really, it's like, what are the lingering effects? And I know that I've said on this show many times that everyone is reporting he's going to be 100%, he should have no lingering effects, but at the same time, it's still an ACL injury. Right, still in the back of your mind, right? Remember whenever Carson Wentz came back from who was playing at an MVP level a couple years ago, in training camp, he just seemed still a little bit ginger, a little bit off. Now, again, that was week 12. Garoppolo injured Wentz was injured in week 12, but Garoppolo injured in week 3, so he's had more time to recover. Will there be any lingering effects? We hope not. But at the same time, that to me is one of the bigger storylines looking at training camp coming up here in the next couple of days and over the next couple of weeks and into preseason as well. Remember the stats from 2018, only played in 3 games, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and still had that 60% completion percentage. Remember, at the same time, we did this, I think, last week. If you were to multiply those stats out, he would have thrown for a full year, 27 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, almost 4,000 yards, and had the same probably completion percentage of about 60%. So again, he's projecting to have better numbers than that this year, but it all starts at training camp to prove to everybody, anyone who's doubting out there, that he is 100% healthy and good to go. That's a storyline we must keep an eye on going forward. Can he take a hit? Can he have big bodies, falling down around his legs? These are all things that can happen in 11-on-11s and can happen especially in a preseason game. When he takes that first big hit, when he gets wrapped up around the ankles and pulled down by his legs, how's he going to get up? These are all things we got to watch for. So when you're reading up on reports from training camp, you're reading up and you're watching videos of Garoppolo throw the football, just keep an eye on those that lower body. Keep an eye on those knees. Hopefully, he should be good to go. Question for you guys: are you guys worried about Garoppolo at all? I'm not, to the standpoint that I don't think he's gonna I don't think he's gonna re-injure it. But at the same time, there's been enough quarterbacks coming back from ACLs where it's just a little iffy. It's like that. Don't rush him back too much. Take it slow, and hopefully he's good to go for the start of this season. Moving right along. Number 2 storyline here on the top 5 storylines for the 49ers training camp has to be the rookies' impact early on, right? When will we start to feel the impact of all of these rookies? Again, Niners had 8 draft picks in this year's, they had 6 when they drafted 8 players in 2019. Bosa Samuel, they still remained unsigned. That's another big question mark no one seems to want to talk about, but Nick Bosa and Deebo Samuel, our top 2 picks, still remain unsigned. And at the same time, both of them are still kind of dealing with some injuries here, right? So you sit there, you go, all right, top 5 draft picks from last year. We'll just throw them up on the board. Bosa, Samuel, Hurd, and then the punter, Wisnowski, and then Greenlaw, the linebacker. But the first 3 are the big focus here, Bosa, Samuel, and Jalen Hurd. Again, we mentioned the injury stuff, but Nick Bosa has not played in a game since last September at Ohio State with that hamstring injury. So we got to, what's he going to look like in full pads, going out there and giving it his all, essentially, especially when we get to preseason. And Deebo Samuel's minicamp got derailed with that minor hip injury. So 1, the 2 are unsigned, and 2, the injury questions are going to be there going forward. When can we start to see a major impact by our rookies? Will we start hearing about it in training camp of, Nick Bosa when he signs and starts practicing on the field? He's, being super disruptive. Will Deebo Samuel be burning people for touchdowns? These are all things that I want to see going forward. How much of an impact will the rookies have going forward? Question for you guys: which 49ers rookie this season will have the biggest impact on the field, right? So again, not just at training camp, because at training camp you'll hear all sorts of storylines of, oh, Deebo Samuel, 3 touchdowns today from Jimmy Garoppolo, or oh, Nick Bosa had some good pressure up the middle. We're talking about this season. So which rookie do you think? Is it Samuel? Is it Bosa? Is it Hurd? Is it someone else who will have the biggest impact on the field this season? Number 3. This is actually, Jamie, so you can put this at number 1. This one's big. The secondary, right? How many times have I said the 49ers had the worst secondary in the National Football last year, according to Pro Football Focus? Questions that are going to start coming up here. Who starts opposite of Sherman? Is Witherspoon locking that position up? Is he going to be the other cornerback? Is it someone else? Is Sherman going to be 100% healthy? Because remember last year, he only played at about 80%. So the projecting starting secondary looks something like this as of right now. Richard Sherman, Witherspoon, and Kello Witherspoon, will be the cornerbacks on either side. Most likely, it'll be Tart and Jimmy Ward at the safety spots. Again, Ward recovering from that collarbone. And then nickel should be Kwan Williams. So that's what we look at right now. So how much improved are they going to be? Right? That's the question really about this defense. We'll talk about the front 7 later on. The front 7 can dominate, but if the backside of your defense is still giving up big plays and giving up big chunks, not a good look. And again, the 2018 defensive stats for the Niners last year, 28th in total defense, 13th in yards allowed, 11th in passing yards allowed, and 14th in rushing yards allowed. So again, this is going to be a big focus, not just at training camp, but also we get to the preseason. How do these guys look? The cornerback battle, safety position, what are they going to do going forward? And how much can they improve on what was a pretty bad year for them all around? All right. We have another 49ers mailbag coming up later this week, coming up here in the future. So if you use the hashtag 49ers in a comment down below, I will most likely answer your question in one of our next 49ers mailbag videos. So again, hashtag 49ers is the way to get your questions down below, and I'll answer as many as I can in a fun rapid fire style that we do here on Chat Sports. You can also tweet me or DM me at RealThomasMod on Twitter, either or. You can do the hashtag 49ers, or you can tweet me, and I'll answer as many questions as I can in the next video. All right, moving on. Number 4. What happens at the backup quarterback position? Again, it's not something that's going to necessarily, hopefully, impact the season because you expect Jimmy Garoppolo to play the entire year. But questions like, could Kyle Shanahan keep all 3? Will the loser of the backup quarterback battle be cut or traded? Does Garoppolo's health concerns make it more of an important battle where they could think about keeping 3 with his health concerns? These are all questions that are going to be interesting to see how they get answered as the days and weeks go on. Nick Mullens last year, the stats, we'll just throw them up on the screen. 8 games played, 64% completion percentage, 13 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. And then C.J. Beathard played in 6 games, 60.4% completion percentage, 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. And the majority of you guys, we voted on this before, think that Mullens is the guy. You'd rather have Nick Mullens as the backup quarterback, so then you trade Beathard. What could you get for C.J. Beathard? These are all questions that are going to be answered in the next couple of weeks here, as I believe once they figure out who wins that backup battle. And again, it'll take preseason games, right? That's the big battle to watch after the starters are pulled, is Beathard versus Mullens. Then do you cut someone? Do you trade someone? The backup quarterback position, it's not a sexy position in the NFL. A lot of times they just hold the clipboard and stand on the sideline. But at the same time, this is an interesting battle here. I'm going to keep our eyes on it going forward in training camp. Who should be the backup quarterback for the Niners this year? I've asked this before, but I want to get you guys to weigh in again. Mullens or Beathard? I'm leaning more towards Nick Mullens. I think you guys are too, but let me know in the comments down below. That way we can have it fully and finally decided. Okay, number 5 here, our 5th top storyline for the 49ers offseason as they enter training camp, really the training camp storylines. Number 5 here, will the front 7 dominate? Okay, the front 7 right now, on paper, looks pretty darn good. The trade for D Ford and then giving him the contract extension, the signing of Nick Bosa, number 2 overall, the signing of Kwan Williams, on paper, scary, right? Look at the front 7 stats from last year. 37 sacks, negative 25 turnover ratio, 113 rushing yards allowed per game, 2 picks, and 27 points per game allowed as a whole. The stats aren't that great, but then you actually throw in the depth chart, and we'll throw it up right now. You could have potentially a starting rotation like Bosa, DJ Jones, DeForest Buckner, D Ford. You could have Armstead coming in and playing left defensive end, right defensive end, Solomon Thomas backing him up there. How many first-round draft picks do we have? It's ridiculous, right? how good is it going to be is the question now. Because we see what the stats were last year, we see the improvement that they did, but now what can they actually do on the football field? Is this a top 5 defense? Is this a top 10 defense? Are they going to be top 5 in sacks? All these questions are going to be answered over the next couple of weeks and months. My big thing that I want to look at, this is something you guys should watch too, when you read reports from people who are at Niners training camp and you watch the videos, I was told by a couple of NFL players back in the day, I asked them a question, I said, okay, during training camp, when they do 11 on 11, should we expect / want the defense to win the majority of plays or the offense to win the majority of plays? Should we expect Garoppolo to carve up the defense, or should we expect the defense to get interceptions and sacks and play really well? And a couple of ex-NFL players told me, Thomas, when it's in training camp, expect the defense to do well. You want the defense to be looking better than the offense because they have kind of an easier job as the offense tries to install plays and stuff like that. So when you're looking at reading the reports from up there at 49ers training camp, if we're getting some reports that the defense looks better than the offense, don't worry, that's a good sign. As I've always been told, you want the defense to succeed in the off season. Question, will we be a top 10 defense this year? This entire year, will we be a top 10 defense? If not, we top 15. What do you guys think here? Type Y for yes to a top 10 defense. Type N for no to not having a top 10 defense as well. Again, we'll quickly go recap all the top 5 on my list of top 5 49ers storylines going into training camp. Number 1, Jimmy Garoppolo, mainly the health going forward. How's the knee going to look when he takes a hit? How's the knee going to look when he's dodging bodies, throwing at all of his lower extremities? That's number 1. Number 2, the rookie impact early, because again, Bosa and Samuel at this point of this filming this video are still unsigned. When they are signed on the field, big impact, little impact, no impact, because rookies, again, you never really know what you're going to get. How much of an impact will all of them have? And Jalen Hurd's another one on there. What can Jalen Hurd do early on? Moving on to number 3, the secondary, question marks at the opposite cornerback position. Still at the safety as well. We expect Witherspoon, we expect Tart, we expect Ward, and again, Richard Sherman's health is going to be a question as well. How can they improve? How will they look to improve on what was a tough season last year? Number 4, who wins the backup quarterback position? Mullens versus Beathard, and the loser, are they cut or traded, right? That's a big question mark there. That'll probably be answered later on in the preseason. And finally, will the front 7 dominate, right? Is the front 7 as good as it looks on paper as it will turn out on the field? Is this front 4 going to get after people, be big, be nasty, be tough, get sacks? Will the linebackers, once Kwan Alexander is healthy, look really good flying around the field? How much can they dominate? And will they be the better squad during training camp, which is something, again, I just mentioned, we look at here whenever you enter training camp. You expect the defense to win more than the offense when they're going up against each other. All right, one more time. 49ers mailbag coming up in a future video. Use the hashtag 49ers on YouTube. Leave a question, and I'll most likely answer it in our next video. There were so many questions during our last 49ers mailbag video. I didn't get to every single one. This time, if you give me a good question, I'm going to do my best to go ahead and get your questions answered there on one of our next videos. And of course, you can always DM me on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter as well, @RealThomasMott. I can answer your questions using that as well. Again, for everything that we just did today, this video right here hopefully gets you guys ready for training camp as the Niners are heading out, and we'll be starting and reporting on the 26th, right? Couple of days away. We'll have plenty more videos, always covering this channel here, or always covering the 49ers here on Chat Sports. Be sure to subscribe to Chat Sports, subscribe to our 49ers Chat Sports YouTube channel as well, and follow me on Twitter @RealThomasMott. For Chat Sports, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off. That's it for today's video. Be sure to subscribe. Plenty more coming in the future. Enjoy the rest of your day.